Good morning and welcome to My Left Ear. It is Sunday, September 18th, and it's video 118. We just keep moving along. I am Carrie Freeman, the writer, producer, director of My Left Ear. Almost 2 years. October 3rd will be 2-year anniversary. Also my birthday. I did that on purpose. And this is a YouTube channel that is left-leaning politics. If you're an independent, left-leaning, undecided, welcome. If you're a MAGA, you won't like this site. Don't aggravate yourself, move on. And then if you do like it, please press like and subscribe. Also, it came to my attention that some people that had subscribed discovered that they were unsubscribed and then found me again. So check on that. Make sure you're still subscribed, okay? That's my advice for today. When I am not doing the YouTube channel and my Patreon, I do private sessions with people and all kinds of coaching, life coaching, psychic coaching. I'm a trained hypnotherapist and I blend that sometimes into my sessions. I've been doing that for 20 years, helping people through the wonderful process of therapeutic hypnosis. And now if you want to reach me, if you want a cheat sheet with prices, my information and my email's down below, and I also post it in my community section. Just email me and I'll send you the cheat sheet. I am adding 45-minute runes readings privately for clients, okay? So I'm adding that. All right, here we go. This is for entertainment purposes only, and here we go. So the DOJ is not slowing down. They subpoenaed 40 Trump aides for the grand jury. Plus, they apprehended phones of 2 of his aides. Now, I don't know if that's including or the pillow guy, Mike Lindell, is extra. And Mike Lindell is wailing about it because he says he only has his phone to do business. And he doesn't have his phone. Oh, my air conditioning just went on. It's been on before and you haven't complained, and it would make me more comfortable to keep it on, so I'm just gonna keep it on and make sure that I project so you can hear me well. And in regard to Trump and so many charges, you know, so many lawsuits, I don't even know what the count is, but Neil Katyal, who is on MSNBC, knows quite a bit. He says there is an excellent case for obstruction. If nothing else, obstruction. It's very, very strong. So if you get discouraged, just keep that. Also, this isn't even in my notes, but you know, Merrick Garland has not lost a case. And I think we should have some faith in that, that he's never lost a case. And you better believe he's not going to lose this. Not after his career. So I just want to add that. It's very encouraging, despite whatever criticisms, and he's still getting criticisms on Twitter, by the way. And speaking of criticisms, Judge Eileen Cannon, we are all lucky we are not Judge Eileen Cannon's friends, or we are her, because she's just being universally criticized by Republicans, Democrats, Republicans that are probably not active right now. She's inserting her personal beliefs into her brief. She came out and verbally said she thinks Trump needs some special consideration, which is not part of her oath. And she put her own beliefs in there, that she doesn't believe that the documents could threaten people in the CIA that are all over the world and spies. So she doesn't trust the DOJ. Oh, boo-hoo. Aileen, your day is coming. You're not gonna win here. So the DOJ has delivered an objection to Cannon's most recent and confusing response, more ridiculous than the first one, according to famous lawyers, where she's siding with Trump, but he has been ordered that he has to pay the special master. He asked for it, he's getting it, he has to pay for it 100%. I'm sure he's not happy about that. Now, the special master is Judge Raymond Dearie, And he has a fantastic reputation. It's so interesting. He was on the list of on Trump's list of special masters, because he is a straight shooter by all accounts. Like, really brilliant, really knows the system, fair, personable, on and on and on. Total professional. I'm really happy about that, and I think that puts Merrick Garland in a good position. I mean, you never know, but it looks pretty good. So here's my first rune for you, and it asks, will the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals enjoin, which basically means block, Cannon's ruling or rulings? Now that is who the DOJ has appealed to, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, and it's not one judge that's going to weigh in on this, which is good. So it looks good. It looks good. The first rune we got, and we got it twice. This has happened 2 weeks in a row. Very rare. Wholeness. The rune of wholeness. And it delivers life force. It represents the sun's energy, which is, a great card in tarot too. It's an impulse towards self-realization, which sounds very personal, but the DOJ could, be like self-realizing now after the crooked Bill Barr run. It says a path must be followed from the core of one's individuality. And I sense, I feel, I intuit that Merrick Garland has that core of truth and individuality about him. It is a rune of great power, making the life force available to him, Merrick. It marks a time of regeneration, and regeneration's like a new start. So this really is telling me they're going to get through this mess, this blank show, starts with an S, S-H, and get on with it. So it's like a new start, all right? And it warns us that once this positive position is put in place with the special master, Deary, that the DOJ may then retreat. It wasn't their idea to go public. It was Trump that made it public. They would not have announced any of this. The FBI, the searches, nothing. It was Trump that did that. But if we see the DOJ going quiet and retreating, it is a retreat in strength, okay? This rune tells us that. Now, repeat that by 2, because we got the wholeness rune twice, which is the sun's energy, which is an impulse towards self-realization, which is the path to be followed from one's core individuality. Rune of power. I mean, it's really good. And then the last, the final rune, the third rune, was warrior. Warrior. And even though Merrick Garland doesn't look like he would ever be in Game of Thrones, right? You just couldn't picture that, could you? Neither could I. Warrior has a sword-like quality that enables him to cut away the old and extraneous. And again, warrior is associated with the sun. So the sun is all over this reading, and it is masculine energy. So this is really good. And I feel confident that the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals is going to rule in a way that lets the DOJ continue with their criminal probe. And I'm not sure if this is in it, but I know they don't want to spread all these documents in front of Trump's legal team. We don't even know if the legal team can be trusted. And he's got somebody new, which I'll talk about in a minute, which is really funky, wonky, whatever, So when we watch MSNBC and we watch the pundits that we like, the word enjoin now, they're using these legal words, and I'm like researching. Enjoin. It doesn't sound like it means, and that's like coddled my brain a little bit. It means synonyms for enjoin are ban, bar, forbid, outlaw, prohibit, stop. So that's enjoin, meaner than join. It's the opposite of join. And then the antonyms for enjoin are approve, endorse, sanction. So there we go. Now, this is so interesting. It was just discovered at the end of the week. Trump's new, most experienced lawyer, Christopher Kise, K-I-S-E, is being paid $3 million. So evidently, Christopher Kise or his law firm, I bet they got money up front, or he wouldn't work for him. He's more experienced than the others. However, and this is a big however, Kise cannot be given, right now, he cannot be given access to classified documents because he became a registered agent in Venezuela in order to represent the Nicolas Maduro regime. Now, that's not illegal. He can do that. But it puts him at odds with seeing highly classified documents. So that remains to be seen. I looked it up. I found a 2020 article, and the headline was, this is 2020, by the way, the Maduro regime's illicit activities, a threat to democracy in Venezuela and security in Latin America. So this Kise guy, he really needs to be watched. So he's a security risk. That's what it looks like. We will see. We'll keep an eye on it. Now, Mark Meadows just famously turned over high-level communications to the DOJ, FBI. However, they're the same communications that he turned over to the January 6th committee. And it's possible that the DOJ, FBI have not had this in their hands, but we've all heard a lot. Listen, this is not a psychic intuition. Mark Meadows can't be trusted. You don't have to be psychic to know that. He cannot be trusted. Accordingly, he agreed to a grand jury subpoena because he was the eyes and ears on Trump most closely. But he could show up and claim the fifth. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. We gotta wait. However, because all his texts and I guess phone calls were turned over to the DOJ, FBI, they now have in their hands all the Ginny Thomas communications with Mark Meadows. And it displays her intent to overthrow the government and who she's been in contact with and who her plans are. And Ginny Thomas, the conservative activist, as you know, is wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. And now there's a mystery. So what has been a months-long goal to get her to speak, Benny Thompson, the head of the January 6th, said that any appearance, this is what he said, any appearance by Ginny Thomas has to be delayed due to some things that happened. Some things that happened. It could be so many different things. It could be a health issue having nothing to do with politics. So we have to wait. But they all want to talk to Ginny Thomas, and that's not going to go away, so feel good about that. Now, Blockbuster of the Week was an attorney named Jeffrey Berman, former Manhattan U.S. attorney for the SDNY, Southern District, New York. And when then Attorney General William Barr bungled the firing of Manhattan U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman in 2020, we all knew there was more to the story because it was very sudden. Now, in his new book, Jeffrey Berman, this is a long title, Holding the Line, Inside the Nation's Preeminent U.S. Attorney's Office and Its Battle with the Trump Justice Department. And Berman talks about, he really confirms that William Barr was there to serve the president's agenda and be his hatchet man, fire people, replace people. That's what Barr did, blatantly. and they wanted to get rid of Jeffrey Berman. Now, my understanding is if he had resigned, which they wanted him to do, then they could place anybody in his position that they want, any clown. But if they have to fire him, then they have to follow the chain of command that the next person on his team would step in. And that's what he wanted, and that's what he got. He fought and he fought for that district office. Now, one of the things that several of the things Berman was asked to do was to go after John Kerry. John Kerry had done nothing, but Trump decided John Kerry was his foe, and he wanted to bring him down. So he went after John Kerry. And then, I don't know if you know this, but the IRS audited former FBI heads, Andrew McCabe and James Comey. My left ear knows that it came from Trump. I don't know if that's in Berman's book. I have listened to a lot of the interviews and I haven't heard that, but I'm telling you, either Barr or Trump contacted the IRS and said, drop an audit on these two guys, and they did. I'd like to find out what head of the IRS issued that directive, because that person is still there, all right? Not fair. Just so dirty. You know what I mean? So dirty. And of course, nothing came up. Okay, now we're gonna go to the low point of the week, which is human trafficking, human kidnapping. Ron Desantis and Greg Abbott of Texas, Ron Desantis of Florida, obviously, started with Abbott's in Texas, his human trafficking stunt, putting migrants on buses and then shipping them to what they perceive democratic areas, districts, blah, blah, blah. But word on the street is that they're waffling between human trafficking and kidnapping. I'm going to talk about Glenn Kirshner in a minute because I'm going to repeat some of the things he said. But the reason that it makes it kidnapping is if they lied. You're going to get jobs, you're going to get housing, and then none of that happened. They were just dropped off, like if you and I were dropped off on Mars. That's what happened to these poor people with babies. So in a very beautiful turn of what truly could be America, the people that live on Martha's Vineyard just ran to help these migrants. Food, water, clothing, embraced them. And it was very beautiful. Now, Abbott had them bust into Florida. This is my understanding. And then Ron DeSantis used Florida taxpayer money. All right? Florida taxpayer money to put them on planes and fly them to Martha's Vineyard. All right, so Glenn Kirshner, he said, kidnapping by inveiglement, which is a word I just learned and I love, and I'm going to go into it in a minute. He basically said where the governors might be more exposed is with federal kidnapping laws. It is a crime to kidnap somebody and transport them across state lines. And that crime includes tricking people, and that would be inveigle. Inveigle is to con, to entice, to manipulate, and that's what they did. They had a woman named Perla meeting these migrants right outside the courthouse in Texas and saying, look, if you get on this bus or you get up, we're going to take you in an airplane to, I think, Boston, and they're going to have clothes, you're going to have shelter, you're going to have job offers, you're going to have attorneys. And of course, none of that was true. She inveigled them to go voluntarily. So it's a transitive verb, to win over by wiles, by being wily, to entice, using ingenuity or flattery. So That's how it happened, and that's what Glenn Kirshner thinks is going to come about. Now, I'm going to go back here. NPR reports that at least some of the people who ended up on Martha's Vineyard were told that they would be going to Boston, and Boston would expedite their papers. This is from Rolling Stone, promising the housing, all this stuff that I just told you. I got ahead of myself a little bit. That they were going to receive visas in Boston, and on and on and on. Now, I want to kind of mention something that weeks and weeks ago, maybe even months, I said that I felt something was going to happen with Desantis. There would be a scandal. I even aligned it with human trafficking, but I aligned it with more like Matt Gaetz, like maybe he was in cahoots on some level with Matt Gaetz and that Greenberg guy that is going to spend a long time in jail, who's been an informant. Well, it wasn't completely wrong. It just doesn't have, right now, so far, it doesn't have to do with Greenberg or Gaetz, but it has to do with kidnapping and trafficking. I'm like, wow, I have been feeling for months that something was going to come in and intersect DeSantis in a bad way. We're going to see, but here's the runes, okay? Did the runes. Ask the runes, will DOJ charge DeSantis and perhaps Abbott, in quote, in brackets, with human trafficking or kidnapping? Simple question. So what I got the rune of signals, but reversed. And it says there is concern over failed communication, a lack of clarity or awareness, awareness that results in wasted motion. The kidnapping prank was wasted motion, as it was vile. Then I got the blank rune, which is just blank. There's nothing on it, no matter which way you turn it. And it has to do with the unknowable. So it constitutes, this is interesting, whenever this one comes up, it's so interesting. It constitutes both the end and the beginning, which I want to say the end of DeSantis's reign and the beginning of something new. He just went too far. And I as I speak to you, I believe he feels nobody can touch him. He can get away with anything he wants. That's what I think he believes. Now, the blank rune can portend a death. And in my left ear, with my left ear, I feel like it's DeSantis's career, possibly, not an actual death. And it's about relinquishing control. Ron DeSantis has a control issue, as we can all say, and this may just blow him out of his patterns. Now, it's added that it is the path of karma, and if this all blows up in DeSantis's face, like I think it may, it is his path of karma, right? He chose to do it, but it brings up fear. And late at night, 2 a.m, I promise you, his braggadocio is gone, and he thinks, will I fail? Will all my people abandon me? Will it be taken away? Everything that I've built. And I want to say, yeah, it will. Then I got fertility, good rune. It is an intuitive rune with an urge towards harmonizing. Now, who would create harmony? Charlie Crist, who is running for governor of Florida. And they are neck and neck, by the way. Neck and neck, people. Again, it is the completion of beginnings. And that could include Ron's desired 2024 presidential run. It's very obvious. Everybody talks about it. The completion is crucial, sorry, the wrong word. He is required, Ron, to free himself from a rut or a deep cultural or behavioral pattern. Again, no SH, really? He must leave it behind. Something that has been associated with his self must be released. I want to tell you it's unlikely. The guy isn't going to change. And it says there is movement here that could involve danger. And that could be the transition from Desantis to Charlie Crist. Because if Charlie Crist wins the votes, DeSantis will not sit still for that. He'll get all of his posse. He's got some really awful people, oath keepers. And that may be the danger. So if you have $5, send it to Charlie Crist in Florida. He's really close and he's really good. He's so good for Florida. And now we go on to Putin. And this is from Reuters. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday said he understood that Xi, Chinese leader, Xi, had questions and concerns about the situation in Ukraine. And Putin praised China's leader for what he said, and he said it was a balanced position on the conflict. Well, this is the first time Putin has come out and said anything. And for him to admit that the Chinese leader is concerned, it could be a precursor for Putin thinking about how he might pull out. It's because everybody, this is going to go on for a little while longer, but everybody who's an expert, the generals, the admirals, you know, feel that this has been a turning point now for Ukraine. More hellacious things will come, most likely, but there is this overall feeling there's a turn, all right? And the fact that Putin admitted that Xi is concerned feels like a crack, just a little crack in the armor. And as I wrote, the beginning of a way out. So here's the final rune for today. I call it Putin's pivot. Is there a crack in Putin's plan? All right. So I got signals, upright, messenger. Messages and signals bring knowledge, especially during meetings regarding the meeting with Chinese leader, with one's wiser or influential. That would be Xi. Expect the unexpected. That might be loss. He thought he was going to win in 4 days. Or Xi having concerns about the attack on Ukraine. And Xi, I understand, is not giving weapons to Putin. He's getting them from other places. Got the self that says only clarity and willingness to change will be effective. The message is that he must withdraw because there's no willingness to change. And to change means leave, okay? He doesn't want to, but it's looking like he's going to have to. It is a time of growth and rectification, big word here. Giving up the old. But rectification must come before progress. He's not going to try and rectify anything, I want you to know. Then, interesting, the last rune here on Putin, gateway. Gateway has about non-action. Isn't it true? It is the frontier between heaven and the mundane. It's a place of readiness to let go of the past. So he's asked to contemplate this, walking through the gateway, which is also akin with like death, is key because deep transformational forces are at work here regarding Putin. It recommends visualizing yourself standing before a gateway on a hilltop. His entire life is behind him. And it says, step through the gateway now, suggesting that he leave it all behind. My last rune on Putin was that this war is going to wrap up by June of 23. I'm going to stand by that. And here's just an FYI. The next January 6th committee is going to be on September 28th. Stay tuned on television. All right. I had a really long quote today, but I'm going to save it because it's really long and we're running a little over. So I'm just going to tell you this one little good evidence thing. I was sitting with a client who knew nothing about my evidence work or my YouTube. I don't advertise that when people come to me privately, and she's not from my left ear. She has 2 daughters that are like 21 and 22. She doesn't know about my channel. And she told me, she's a very lovely human being. And she told me that when her daughters were growing up, she told them to speak to the crossing guards when they were little. She said, I want you to say hello and wish them a good day or say thank you, because nobody looks at them or talks to them. And when she told me that, and by the way, her daughters grew up and they're fantastic. They're both going to college and she's really close with them. She raised them by herself because their father died when they were young. So what did she teach her daughters? By just that one little thing. She taught them respect, kindness, noticing people, thoughtfulness. That's a good evidence story, and I put it in my book. It's in my book. Now, I want to remind you that I am seeking out good evidence stories, and sometimes I'm just seeing them in your letters to me, and I'm like, great evidence story, and I'm putting it in my book. Nobody is named or identified. So if you have any evidence stories, please tell me. Send them to my email, carriesleftear@gmail.com. All right? And this quote is wonderful. Found it yesterday. And then the other quote, which is longer, I'll share with you next show. It says, and it's anonymous, whatever you must do today, do it with the confidence of a 4-year-old in a Batman cape. Any of you have children or grandchildren? I mean, doesn't that just say it all? I mean, I don't have children, but boy, I can relate. Do it with the confidence of a 4-year-old in a Batman cape. Thank you, Anonymous. All right, so here we go. I'm going to do a Patreon tomorrow for my Patreon people. And just remember, you can support me by the first tier with just, I think it's $4 a month. You don't get to see the videos, but it's a way of saying thank you if you want to say thank you. And the upper tier is $8 a month, where right now I'm teaching runes, then I'll go on to something else, but I'm also sharing really fun, pretty innocent celebrity stories in every Patreon video. So I'll do Patreon tomorrow. In the meantime, have a beautiful Sunday. Keep the faith, make peace, make good memories. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.